It's 8 o'clock. This is the UK Tonight. Coming up, Andy Burnham's plan to rebalance power in Britain. As he prepares to move into Downing Street, the prospective Prime Minister sets out his plan to move power out of Westminster, setting up what he's calling Number 10 North. Based in Manchester, it would oversee the devolution of utilities and transport, and what Mr Burnham is calling the biggest council house building programme since the post-war period. Also tonight, an 8-year prison sentence for the man who encouraged others to break into his ex's house and assault her. Assad Hussein set up a fake Tinder profile for the woman, claiming she had a rape fantasy. At least 35 men visited her home. Plus, a high-profile resignation from the National Maternity investigation just hours before it publishes its report. We'll have all the details. And goodbye to an all-time great. Ben Stokes bows out. Fans and pundits alike are now asking what lies ahead for English cricket. All that to come, and much more on the UK Tonight. Andy Burnham is set to get the keys to Number 10 3 weeks today, but he has outlined his plan to move power out of Downing Street. Mr Burnham saying that he wants to create Number 10 North, essentially an outpost in Manchester, which would oversee the devolution of utilities and transport to the regions, as well as a major programme to build council housing. The prospective Prime Minister says his plans will rewire the British state. The Conservative leader says the proposals are old hat and the UK is heading for a summer of chaos. Our political editor Beth Rigby has this report.
For so long, the King of the North, now Prime Minister in waiting, Andy Burnham back in Manchester to explain what he'll do when he walks into Number 10 in 3 weeks' time, pledging nothing less than a rewiring of the British state.
Westminster hasn't been working for people, and it hasn't been working for a very long time. In fact, it is broken. We will bring about the biggest rebalancing of power our country has seen. It is time for Whitehall to accept that growth cannot be ordered from the top down. Instead, it can only be nurtured from the bottom up.
Manchester, his North Star.
This is Manchesterism. It is a vision for good growth and a rejection of the old trickle-down model.
Manchesterism, his philosophy, Number 10 North, its incarnation.
The job of Number 10 North will be to make power flow into the Midlands, into the southwest, into the east of England, and yes, into London, as I said before, as much as into the northeast, Yorkshire and the Humber, and here in the northwest. Number 10 North will be the nerve centre of a rewired Britain.
That rewiring starting with the housing crisis.
Number 10 North will oversee the biggest council house building programme since the post-war period.
Burnham insists his proposal's possible within Starmer's fiscal rules, but this a speech more about storytelling than spreadsheets.
Imagine good growth in every postcode and hope in every heart. Well, imagine no more. Let's make it happen.
That man's likely to become your Prime Minister in 3 weeks' time without a general election to win you over, a leadership contest to set out his stall to the Labour Party, and interrogation from MPs or even questions today. What he has set out are promises that mimic in some way what Starmer said in 2024. A 10-year mission to raise living standards, a transfer of power away from Westminster and a better deal for Britain's young people. So what are we getting in this transfer of power from Starmer to Burnham? A change of direction or a better storyteller at the top?
Burnham not taking any questions. That job left for allies.
What are we getting with Andy Burnham? Are we just getting a better storyteller here?
Oh, I don't think you could listen to what he was setting out there today and say that it's just a different cover. I think this is a really profound rewiring of how the economy works, how the country works, that giving power and real punch to places, they can better solve the challenges that they face, and they can better bring those jobs and those opportunities, a good home for people in their areas.
A lot of this is absolutely about telling a story of Britain, telling a story of the North, telling the story of hope and opportunity, but it also absolutely has to be about cold, hard delivery.
You are at the moment the Chief Whip. Are you feeling quite shell-shocked about the pace and scale of events for the Labour Party and the country?
I think the strength of his message has partly affected the timescale around it, but in the main I pick up in the parliamentary Labour Party and in the country a sense of excitement.
But this bloodless coup has left opponents with a sense of frustration.
Andy Burnham is already the Prime Minister in everything but name. He needs to act like a leader, put an end to speculation, walk into number 10, name his cabinet and come to Parliament to tell the country what he plans to do.
Has Keir Starmer let you down on defence spending? Are you expecting better from Andy Burnham, sir?
Back in Downing Street, the actual Prime Minister meeting NATO Chief Mark Rutte as he prepares to publish Britain's defence investment plan, Starmer's last legacy act as Westminster waits for Burnham. Beth Rigby, Sky News.
Well, good growth in every postcode is what Andy Burnham says he's planning. Economics and data editor Ed Conway has been taking a look at what that may look like.
So to the extent that Andy Burnham has a mandate to change economic policy, part of it derives from the fact that a lot of people are looking across the UK. They're looking at economic performance in different regions, just showing you kind of the equivalent of economic output in different parts of the UK. And they're looking in particular at Manchester. And Manchester has had this extraordinary story of growth in recent years, making it kind of one of the fastest growing urban area in the UK, major urban area. But here's the thing, when you kind of get beneath the overall numbers here, it's a little bit more complicated than that. And I'd want to just show you this. This is a really useful way of thinking about the UK's kind of regional disparities versus other countries around the world. What this is showing you, I'm going to show you a few bubbles here, different cities in the UK and other places. And the further you go in that direction, the better off they are, OK? So here's the UK. And there, as you can probably guess, look, that's London. The bigger the circles are, these bubbles are, the greater the population. There's London, Reading there with some of its kind of tech sector there. But London is kind of in a class of its own. And you've got then Manchester over there and Sheffield, but most of the UK's other regions are clustered down here. As I say, the further you go there, the better off these regions are. Compare that now, so that's the UK. Compare the UK with France. And in France, there you've got Paris, but you've also got Marseille and you've got Lyon, and two major cities that are further on, closer to that main capital. Now look, for instance, at Poland. Obviously, different story in Poland. But actually, in Poland, look, Poznan there is actually doing better in terms of gross value added than many parts of this cluster of major UK cities, including kind of, Manchester's up there, but including major UK cities like Birmingham. Germany, similar story. Italy, similar story. And then the US over here with this extraordinary wealth, particularly in San Francisco, kind of tech city there, but also New York. And what do you see? This is the main point here. What do you see if you take a step back and look at this? You see that the UK, most of its cities outside of London are just clustered further down here. They're less well off than the cluster here in France and the cluster there in Germany and even the cluster here in Italy, and especially the cluster of smaller cities in the US. And it really just underlines the regional inequality that we have in the UK and the fact that we are just not as well off, certainly as the US, but also to some extent as other countries around Europe. And it's not just the economic settlement that obviously Andy Burnham wants to focus on. There's health as well, and this is just showing you life expectancy at birth in different parts of the UK. That you can see there's a heat map. So the lighter areas show areas where you have higher life expectancy. That's got the highest. That's Hart in Hampshire there, 83 0.7 years at birth for the average male at the moment. But look around the country and you have really kind of different stories. So look at all of this dark over here. Look at Blackpool. That's Blackpool just there. So that's 10 years kind of less of average life expectancy for the average male born in Blackpool. And if you look at the recent performance in Blackpool, so that's UK life expectancy across the UK for male life expectancy at birth. Blackpool, which is kind of got one of the lowest alongside Glasgow, but Glasgow's kind of been rising in recent years. Blackpool is basically unchanged since 2007. And so you have an enormous gap in the UK when it comes to health, when it comes to the economy, that we see that's really striking. And these are among the different economic facets of this country that Andy Burnham says that he wants to address.
The National Maternity Investigation, led by Baroness Amos, is going to publish its report tomorrow. However, on the eve of publication, one of its leading advisors has quit. Dr Bill Kirkup, who also investigated the Morecambe Bay and East Kent maternity scandals, stepped down in a dispute over normal birth ideology and the wording of the report's conclusions. Well, I'm joined now by the senior correspondent at the Health Service Journal, Emily Townsend. She was the one to break the story a little earlier this evening. Emily, thank you for coming on to talk about this. Perhaps you could tell us what you understand to have happened this evening.
Thanks very much, Sarah-Jane. So, yeah, Dr Bill Kirkup is a very formidable man in maternity circles. As you mentioned, he carried out Morecambe Bay and East Kent. And so essentially, I became aware of Bill's departure before I'd seen a copy of the report, which is obviously under embargo for tomorrow. So a letter was shared with families where Baroness Amos informed them that Dr Kirkup had stepped down just ahead of the publication. So essentially, he was one of the expert advisors, a very influential one, and it's our understanding that his resignation actually happened a week earlier when the draft report was being prepared. So there was essentially a dispute and a disagreement over normal birth ideology between the two of them.
Yeah, it's worth reminding people about normal birth ideology and why this is such a contentious issue when it comes to maternity care.
Yeah, so essentially it's been repeatedly referred to in various recent maternity scandals. So prioritisation of spontaneous vaginal birth with minimal medical interventions. NHS England and other organisations such as Royal College of Midwives ran an active normal birth campaign for several years. So set targets for reducing caesarean sections, etc. And in 2022, so quite recently, the NHS told trusts to abandon these targets. So it's something, again, that was also mentioned last week in Donna Ockenden Nottingham report. So it's something that's been really pervasive throughout the sphere over the last few years, well, last decade or so.
Yeah, Donna Ockenden didn't explicitly reference a culture at Nottingham University's Hospitals Trust, which is the trust she was investigating. She didn't reference a culture there of pursuing a normal birth ideology in her written review, but she did address such concerns in a statement given after its release. And that was really important to the families affected because unsafe care, many of the families involved in the Nottingham report felt that the pressure to have what is deemed a normal birth, and as we've learned through this maternity scandal, there is just no such thing as a normal birth, but a vaginal birth, to pursue that was actually not the right course of action for so many mothers and babies, and for so many it was not just unsafe, it was dangerous.
Yeah, so it's a case of begging for a C-section or for medical intervention. And that's something that I know you guys have had on the show, various people coming forward, even still.
Yeah. I mean, our inbox continues to be flooded with families affected by this, not just at Nottinghamshire, but nationally, which is, of course, what tomorrow's report is all around. It was a rapid review, but it's published tomorrow. What are we expecting from that, Emily?
So I think it's something that has been, as you say, it's been rapid. So I think it's something that you can't necessarily capture however many failings you try to investigate. I think she has obviously gone and visited 12 trusts, so we're going to get 12 individual trust reports, and it sets out to investigate maternity care and the headline problems with it. And I think it does that, but I think one of the major omissions, and this is why Dr. Bill Kirkup has resigned is over the normal birth ideology, which is obviously where there's been a disagreement.
Yeah, and we do know that similarly to the Ockington report, this national report we're expecting tomorrow, regulators are outside of the remit of Baroness Amos as they were of Donna Ockington, and there's been a lot of criticism about regulators and the lack of governance and systems to oversee maternity care. Emily, big day tomorrow. Baroness Amos' report finally out. She will be on our morning's programme tomorrow morning. Emily, thank you for coming on to talk to us about this news that you broke earlier. Emily Townsend there from the Health Service Journal. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks very much.
Well, in relation to this, we have a statement from Baroness Amos, which says, "My thanks to Bill for sharing his experience and expertise with me and the investigation team throughout the investigation and as we drafted the final report and recommendations. They are stronger as a result of his input. I regret that we were unable to agree on the specific matter of the conclusions on normal birth ideology for inclusion in the final report and remain grateful for Bill's hard work and commitment." Now, a man who created a fake Tinder profile to lure men to the home of his ex-partner has been jailed for 8 years. Asad Hussein created a page in his ex-girlfriend's name, encouraging men to break into her home and rape her. Our Chief North of England correspondent Greg Milam has more, and just to warn you, his report contains distressing content.
This is Asad Hussein, arrested by police on the motorway, a man wanted for stalking.
Just take a seat there for me, sir, all right? Yeah, confirmed. Just sure at this time I've got him under arrest on suspicion of stalking, please.
Hussein had created this fake Tinder profile, pretending to be an ex-girlfriend, inviting men to her home to rape her, and all because he wanted to see her harmed. Hussein had gone on a number of dates with the victim, but the relationship ended when he became controlling and assaulted her. A few months later, men began turning up at her home, saying she'd invited them on Tinder. They showed her the messages. 4 arrived, one after the other, on one night. Those messages said she wanted to engage in a rape fantasy and be roughed up, and not to believe her if she said no. One man shoved her front door, smashing a glass panel. The message he'd received had told him to do it. The door needs a good nudge, it read.
He didn't have to target her in person. He didn't have to speak to her. He just created multiple profiles for men to come into her house by any means possible and cause her harm. He just needed her to feel fear, and that's exactly what he did.
At least 18 men are believed to have been deceived into going to her home. The true number remains unknown. But they all told a similar story of being told that she would be waiting for them and that they should let themselves into her home. The victim had never known Hussein's real name. Police used her doorbell camera footage to identify him through his car registration.
There's so much we don't know, and on reflection, she's scared. Her and her daughters could have been harmed, they could have been killed, and because we don't know the men he contacted, did they have a criminal record, are they existing sex offenders? We don't know their intention. It's by absolute miracle that she wasn't harmed.
Hussein even messaged the victim posing as one of those Tinder matches to ask whether the police had identified him.
She didn't invite this, she didn't want this, yet her name is floating about on a dating site under the guise of wanting to be raped. And that on its own, it tackles how you feel as a female, how you feel about consent, about being violated. They still came under the guise of hurting her.
Police say Asad Hussein has never taken responsibility for what he did. The only remorse he's shown, they say, is because he got caught. Greg Milam, Sky News.
Still to come on the programme, goodbye to an all-time great. We'll be taking a look back at the career of Ben Stokes as he steps back from international cricket. What's the best thing about being a Sky News presenter? Perfect. Let's bring you some breaking news. Being a Sky News presenter. I began by asking...
Thank you so much.
...trusting us to tell her story. The battle for number 10. Sky News has been given exclusive access. Let me give you a sneak peek. It was the day those present would never forget. Why did you decide to open up and tell your story? Ben Stokes had asked his team to go to the well with him one last time, but his England career ended with something of a whimper today. There's no doubt at all that he will go down as a great of the game. But now, with Stokes' retirement following a disastrous Ashes campaign down under and this series defeat against New Zealand, there are big questions over where this England team goes next. Sky's Siobhan Freeman-Powell has spent the day at Trent Bridge in Nottingham, where supporters said goodbye to a great of the game.
A 2-1 series defeat for England as New Zealand claimed victory at Trent Bridge.
He will always remain brilliantly unforgettable. Ben Stokes.
But all eyes were on this man, rather than the scoreboard, an end of an era for the home side's captain.
I'm very happy with everything that I've managed to do over my career, and it is sad that it's no longer going to be something I get to do. You know, I'm very proud of what I've done, and I'm happy that I feel like I've been able to contribute some kind of happiness to fans who come around and show us, you know, support everywhere we go in the world.
Trent Bridge will go down in history as the last place that Ben Stokes played Test cricket. And that's why so many people are here today, saying goodbye to a player whose biggest moments have become part of sporting history.
He's arguably one of England's greatest ever captains.
He's done more than anyone else has done in cricket for England in the last decade at least.
I'm not sure there will be another Ben Stokes, or not for a long time.
I think he should have a statue built for him, to be honest.
We're going to miss him very much.
Stokes will always be remembered as a true legend, one of the greats of English cricket.
These are the moments that made Stokes a household name.
On the money, but it's out of the ground, is it? Is it out of the ground? It is! It is!
The summer of 2019, where he helped England win their first ever World Cup against New Zealand.
Is this it? Is this... Oh, he's thrown it! He's got it! He's got it!
His international career now ending against the same opponents, albeit with a different result. He and coach Brendan McCullum transformed the team, and Stokes leaves behind a remarkable record and a lasting legacy. But in the biggest moments, including last winter's Ashes series, the team has come up short.
They've made mistakes. There's been a lack of attention to detail. Even in this series, there's been a lack of attention for detail. So I do think it's a time when they're looking for a new captain, just to make sure you look across all the hierarchy at English cricket and make some serious decisions, and also just a little bit more attention to detail.
For all Stokes achieved as captain, his departure leaves England at a crossroads. Questions still linger over results, culture and leadership, and his retirement marks an end to an era and perhaps the beginning of the team's biggest test yet. Siobhan Freeman-Powell, Sky News.
Such a big career and such a big character, it's hard to condense it all into one report. Let's talk about it a bit more now. Former England batsman Mark Ramprakash joins us. And Mark, really good to see you this evening. Are you disappointed that it's ended for Ben Stokes like this?
Yeah, good evening, Sarah-Jane. Yes, I suppose, you know, you've got to look at the series result, and it's very unfortunate. After such a difficult winter where so many things went wrong, I think everyone was hoping that there would be a reset this summer. And England started well, didn't they, at Lord's? It was a brilliant victory, which Ben led. And then, of course, we had the nightclub incident, and, you know, it all went horribly wrong again. So I think he, as a man and as a cricketer, will be desperately disappointed that he's finished his captaincy and his own individual performance on a Test match series loss.
It all happened so quickly. It was such a bizarre turn of events. You mentioned that nightclub incident, the breaking of the curfew that saw him, you know, removed from part of this series and then be reinstated effectively. Everybody thought it was done and dusted, and then he retires. And he retires, you know, while he's on the field, while he's playing. You could see the ripple go through the crowd as people heard the news and then he took a wicket. It was just such a bizarre series of events, which I think, in a way, pretty much sums up Ben Stokes as well. It's been pretty eventful, shall we say.
Hugely eventful career, absolutely. Yeah, I think the nature and the circumstances of how he's come about to that decision, I think there's more to come out, isn't there? I mean, he was exonerated by the cricket regulator, and so many would ask, well, why on earth did he miss that second Test match? He certainly believed that there was no curfew in place, and so he perhaps felt that some of the England management needed to step up and help him out, I suppose. But he took a bit of flack for that situation, missed the second Test match. Of course, the team were thoroughly beaten at the Oval, and then he's tried to come back and sort of resurrect things. But it feels like that he's been in the job, and it is an incredibly wearing job as captain of the England Test side for 4 years. And we've seen captains in the past. That would seem to be about the right cycle. And I think the tour away in the winter took a lot out of him. He then had a very serious freak injury to his face. He's managed to return from that. But I think just the circumstances and the noise around the England culture, selection, the direction in which they're going, question marks over the head coach and the director of cricket, it all feels very messy. And I hope that Ben will look back at the decision and feel, yes, this was the right time to leave what is a very demanding job.
He's been lauded since the retirement announcement from international cricket. He's been called one of the best England captains ever, one of the greatest ever England players of all time. Where does he sit in the rankings for you, Mark?
Well, he's rightly up there, unquestionably. I mean, I'm a Ian Botham generation, so he was a fabulous all-rounder. Then we saw Andrew Flintoff, and Ben Stokes is very similar. He has very similar traits to those two guys. Brilliant all-rounder. So if you take his individual game, wonderful, hard-hitting, powerful batsman, bold, quick, with a bit of swing here and there. I suppose as well, the man, hugely competitive. I mean, that was something that stood out when I first saw him as a 21-year-old with England Lions. In fact, I was on an England Lions trip, my first trip as a batting coach. He actually got sent home because he was a bit of a tearaway. But boy, did he fight his way back. And he earned his selection in international cricket through good performances, but terrifically competitive. And when you look at players, you often look at what they've got inside. If they've got that drive and that passion, and Ben Stokes had it, in bucketfuls, and it drove him on to achieve great heights, but also inspired those around him. And I think as a captain and as a leader, those traits really helped carry the team forward. He led by example. But there was a different side to him as well, a vulnerable side. I remember a tour in the Caribbean when he had come back from a long layoff, and he admitted how anxious he was, how nervous he was about expectations. So I think he showed great empathy towards his teammates. Particularly, he was very good at welcoming young players into the environment and handling the demands of international cricket. So as a leader, he's going to go down to all those who he played with and inspired. They'll hold him in the highest regard.
Yeah, so many faults and frailties, but so much brilliance and promise and drive and strength. And I think that's why England fans, cricket fans, identify with him so much and, will really miss him in international cricket from this point on. The big question mark is what next? Let's start with the captaincy. Where do you think that's going to go? It's a tough act to follow.
Well, for anybody, yes, it would be a hugely difficult task to follow. And that is one thing that I think the England succession plan to Ben Stokes has not gone very smoothly. Clearly, Harry Brook is a wonderful batsman, but as a character and as a leader, he had some difficulties in the winter, which have been well publicised. If he's learnt lessons from those situations, then he would seem to be the obvious candidate. But clearly, he's got a bit of a checkered past there, in recent past as well. So with the England culture around the international side being scrutinised so closely, I think they'll have to think long and hard about whether they want to give him the Test captaincy because he's already the one-day international captain. That is very difficult. To do both the one-day captaincy and the Test match captaincy is very demanding. He's a young fella. He's got a lot of good attributes, but that would be a tough job. Short term, it could be a Joe Root, but obviously the match at the Oval didn't go especially well, and people may see that as a backward step. And then you look around at a bit of a vacuum. Jacob Bethell, very young but very talented. Jamie Smith, you know, sort of trying to cement his place in the side. So there aren't that many candidates.
Yeah, and as we know, the captaincy can change your game, such are the pressures that come with it. And finally, you mentioned there before the coach, Brendan McCullum, and the ECB director, Rob Key. Do they survive this?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was very surprised they survived the winter, given how badly things had gone. The planning, the preparation, the strategy, the mindset was all horribly exposed. I don't know whether they put the trust in those two to then, you know, take England forward with a new captain, a new culture. A lot's gone on. That I suppose I'm going to sit on the fence and say, look, that those people who make these decisions, they're going to have to really think long and hard, given how much has gone on.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable on the fence, but I think you'll find a lot of people with you there at the moment, because there's some tricky decisions to be made for England cricket going forward. Mark, really appreciate your company tonight. Thank you so much. Former England player Mark Ramprakash, good to see you. So to come on the UK tonight, we'll be hearing from the campaigning family calling for better SEND provision for children across the UK.
I urge you not to look away. If Hamas hands the hostages over, they will end this conflict. The world has been watching.
Good to see you again. How are you?
Did she say how he was?
The conditions are awful.
The jets were ordered to come back. Historic day here today. How will you respond if India does launch airstrikes?
They will be allowed to war.
I'm just going to put some body armor on. I'm Yalda Hakim.
The best thing about being a Sky News journalist... Hi, darling.
Beth Rigby, Sky News.
...is being a Sky News journalist. You said to people, I'm not coming back for more, but you have come back for more. Well, let's kick off and make a statement. What can our Prime Minister say to you to not impose tariffs? He's coming out! What more do you need?
We're trying to see as much as we can.
We're in an area that's just been reclaimed.
Mr. Zuma, Sky News.
People are directly protesting.
The whole neighborhood is rallied around her.
It's been impenetrable to journalists over the last 2 years of war in Sudan.
I've been waiting for this for 2 years. It doesn't feel like a big homecoming.
It was never going to be pretty. War isn't pretty.
What's the best thing about being a Sky News presenter? Perfect. Let's bring you some breaking news. Being a Sky News presenter. I began by asking...
Thank you so much.
...trusting us to tell her story. The battle for number 10. Sky News has been given exclusive access. Let me give you a sneak peek. It was the day those present would never forget. Why did you decide to open up and tell your story?
I urge you not to look away. If Hamas hands the hostages over, they will end this conflict. The world has been watching.
Good to see you again. How are you?
Did she say how he was?
The conditions are awful.
The jets were ordered to come back. Historic day here today. How will you respond if India does launch airstrikes?
They will be allowed to war.
I'm just going to put some body armor on. I'm Yalda Hakim.
Next tonight, I really want to talk about the SEND crisis that's facing families up and down the country. Campaigners have today taken their fight right to the heart of Westminster to call on the government to improve support for children with special educational needs and disabilities. It comes after the Department for Education came under fire over its recent collaboration with a reality TV star, with families saying that they want fundamental change rather than money spent on social media campaigns. I'm joined now in the studio by Oliver and Rebecca Lee and their sons, Joshua and Brandon. Well, welcome to the Lee family. First of all, congratulations, because as a family, you've decided to take this issue on and to take it right to the heart of Westminster on behalf of so many other families like you. Oliver, first of all, talk to me about your family situation. We're going to talk to Oliver and Brandon in just a moment.
Well, we've been on quite a journey over the last few years. We've been through specialist schools, through mainstream schools. We've been through home education, which is what Joshua has at this moment in time. And we understand firsthand the magnitude of what's happening for so many families across the UK, because it's a story that is shared by us with so many other families that are experiencing the same thing. It's very easy to forget that there's children in this country that need mainstream, and there's children that need specialists, and there's the children like my son that falls between the cracks, and they're the children that we call the send-betweeners, and they're the children we don't hear enough about. And over the course of the last 12 months, we have built a channel of over 500,000 families that are on a similar journey to us.
Yeah, that's an incredible number, half a million families. Now, you took your campaign to Westminster today, and Oliver, you stood up in front of a room full of MPs and Joshua, you stood up in front of a group of campaigners and MPs and lords to deliver a message, because you want children to be at the heart of this conversation, because they're trying to do their best for you, right?
Yeah, I want to try and get my point through for children to understand me and understand how I'm feeling at the moment, how I'm sort of depressed, and I feel like I'm sort of, how can I say this, fading away, not literally fading away, but feel like my mental health slowly going off, and I feel like I've been properly failed by the education system.
Yeah, Joshua, talk to me about your diagnosis and what it means, because it means that you can't be in a mainstream school. Your brother Brandon has his own diagnosis and can go to mainstream school. We'll talk about that in a moment. But it just shows, doesn't it? You both have diagnoses, but both have very different wants and needs for your education.
I got diagnosed, was it year 2? I think it was year 2.
Yeah, year 2.
With PDA, that stands for pathological demand avoidance. It means everyday demands are trying to avoid them, technically. It's quite hard to sit in this room, but I'm trying to get through it.
And answer questions for me. Look, I really appreciate you doing it. You're doing it on behalf of lots of other kids like you. But it means that you can't go to school. And Brandon, you have your own diagnosis. Sorry, you were taking a drink of water there. I'm so sorry. But you can go to school and you have specialist support there. How's that working for you?
It's hard. It's very hard, as I have ADHD, because I get really fiddly, and it's really hard to be at school because it's very stressful in that time.
And Rebecca, what does it mean for you as a family and so many others? Because there is the school's white paper, which came out not so long ago, which had a strong focus on SEND provision, but a lot of that focus was on inclusivity and keeping children like your sons in mainstream education with support. But your argument is it doesn't work for everyone.
It's not working for both my boys. I had a job. I've lost my job. I'm a full-time carer now. I've given up my life like most SEND parents now. And it's been very difficult. Mainstream school is not for every child. I understand that specialist provisions are for very complex children. And we've also got the children that are in between, that are the send-betweeners, that they don't fit into a mainstream and they don't fit into a specialist environment as well. So this needs to change, really,
You set up Send Matter Coalition, and you've also got your service, Ask Ellie, the organisation, Oliver, that you were just talking about, that has 500,000 families, effectively, you know, with you on this journey. Joshua, when you went to Parliament today, what message did you want to deliver on behalf of those other families?
I wanted to deliver how hard school life actually was. For me, it was terrible. At mainstream, they put me behind corners, got inclusion officers, and I felt locked up.
And isolated.
Isolated. But I personally think if you have one nice person, it can change a lot of the outcomes.
A trusted adult.
Yeah, a trusted adult.
Yeah, it's about the provision you need in the environment that you're comfortable in, and that might be at a specialist school, it might be in a mainstream school, it might be at home, but at some point you need that kind of support. This is the thing, isn't it, Oliver? We hear from so many families that it's all about eligibility rather than a child's need. There's a lot of box ticking that comes on, and as Joshua and you have so well described, you know, Joshua falls between the cracks. So essentially there is nothing, there are no options for him to be educated.
And that's why there's so many children currently up and down the country that are out of education at this moment in time. And we hear from hundreds, if not thousands, of families every day at Ask Ellie. It was something that we set up ourselves, didn't we? Joshua would fall asleep next to me in my office as we began to put together an AI that could help people with legal advice. It helped us, and it's helping lots of families every day. We want to echo the fact that what we heard today in Parliament, and those voices are so important, Sarah, because today it's the children and it's the families and it's their experiences that move the needle in this. And I think with reform, they're concentrating too much on one thing. Let's put all the children back into a mainstream education, and they're forgetting that there are different levels to this. And I know we've just spoken about it going, you know, the send-betweeners, the specialists and the mainstream. You know, all children don't fit into one bracket. They need to be able to fit into the right environment, and that's why when you say with someone with autism on the spectrum, there's so that, you know, it's a wide range of children that are literally excluded at this moment in time, and their voices need to be heard. And I mentioned today about Bridget Phillipson that we hoped would be there today, and she wasn't there, which I'm very disappointed for. And I would love at some point to come on a show like this with Bridget Phillipson, so 500,000 families can have her answer what they want to know.
So many families with children that need SEND provision feel like they've been cut out of the conversation, that the government is talking to them rather than with them. And, you know, to understand what you need as a family, you want to tell them, want to tell them about your experience. Brandon, would you have a message for the Education Secretary? If she's watching tonight, she couldn't come to see you in Parliament today, but if she's watching, what would you say to her about what families like yours need?
Make school more easier and more stressful. Stress relief, like, kind of thing, and less anxiety and more like fun, because I'm always bored at school. It's not colourful. It's just old and plain. School is.
That type of traditional education doesn't feed your colourful brain and help it work.
More vocational activities, I'd say.
Yeah, more practical. Would you echo that? What would you say to Bridget Phillipson?
What would I say? I would say that you need to find a way to sort out the send-betweeners problem, because it's going to ruin a lot of lives and a lot of people in the future.
Because you want to learn?
Yes, I want to learn, get my GCSEs, but I won't be able to anymore.
She needs to listen.
Yeah.
She needs to start listening.
Well, listen, you know, it's not just about surviving in education for those with, you know, special educational needs, it's about thriving. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
And congratulations today on all that you've done on behalf of, you know, children like yourselves. And I hope we speak again in the future with some more encouraging news for families like yours. Oliver and Rebecca Lee with their sons Joshua and Brandon, thank you.
No problem.
Well, we have this from the Department for Education, a spokesperson telling us we're proud of our once-in-a-generation reforms and look forward to working alongside local government to make sure every child gets the right support early on without a fight. We have received thousands of responses to our consultation and held over 200 engagement events with young people, parents, professionals and local bodies across the system, and we'll continue to work closely with them to make sure everyone has confidence in the system we're building. We'll continue to follow this issue here on the UK Tonight. My thanks to the Lee family. Still to come on the UK Tonight, as the Three Lions prepare for the knockout stages of the World Cup, we'll be catching up with England superfan Andy Milne. And Enzo Maresca has been confirmed as the new Manchester City boss. After the break, we'll discuss what he needs to do to be a success.
Liberation Day.
By popular demand, here we are.
Donald Trump. It is quite the story. Wherever it goes, on Trump 100, we go with it.
Can you tell us who you're looking for? Unbelievable!
Now we've come to this.
Are you overstating the reach and significance of this deal?
Not like you said it.
From the UK?
Why don't you go back to your country where you have a major migrant problem?
It was 10 feet from him, and all of a sudden the shot's running out.
People impacted.
I'll tell you on another day on the podcast what that was all about.
Join us wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Siobhan Robbins, Sky's Europe correspondent based here in Berlin.
In Sweden, police have seized a lethal stash.
Anyone of any age could say, I'll do that for £1 million and then have to go and shoot someone.
Yes. Sky News, the full story first. I'm Greg Milam and I'm Sky's Chief North of England correspondent.
This is insane. This was a bustling residential area. I'm Yusra Al-Bagher, Sky's Africa correspondent based in Johannesburg, South Africa.
How difficult is this to police tonight? Off the scale.
I'm Dan Whitehead, Sky News' West of England and Wales correspondent.
Okay, there's a lot of firing going on.
Can you explain to me why? We're journalists, eh? Let's go. Watch, wait, right, we're going to get in. Right, get in. Get in.
We just want to ask you a few questions about your involvement with ISIS. Next step for them, quite often, is getting on a boat and sailing illegally over into Europe.
Es un solo procesamiento, una sola sacada.
Whoa. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Oh my goodness.
If you weren't affected, you'd be a bit of a strange person.
Turn off the camera, turn around and go away.
Okay, but
listen, I told you 3 times.
They saw 2 guys, 2 bad people.
There's an absolutely packed dinghy.
But that is what it's like. Sometimes you have to put in an awful lot of hard work. It's worth doing. I suppose it is what we do.
Beautiful.
Coming up, as England prepare for the knockout stages of the World Cup, we'll be discussing whether they could go all the way. But first, Dave is here with the sports. I'm not going to ask you if England could go all the way, because we're being pretty positive at this stage, aren't we?
Just about.
But Manchester City fans feeling positive today because they have a new manager. Who is it and what has he got in store?
Well, it's Enzo Maresca. It's not a massive surprise, but they're going to be tough. It's going to be a tough act to follow, isn't it? Pep Guardiola, 10 years, 20 trophies, just changed the way the game was played. But they've gone for Maresca because he's a disciple of Pep. He was there at City, of course. He was the assistant manager in the 22-23 treble-winning season. He ran the academy for a while. He's got good pedigree in his own right. He was the Club World he won the Club World Cup with Chelsea, beating PSG. He got Leicester promoted. So he's a good manager, but he fits the Pep Guardiola mould. I guess the challenge for him is going to be, obviously, the team and the squad, but stamping his own authority on things. He doesn't want to just be a Pep clone. Yeah, exactly. He needs to freshen things up, don't they, going ahead into the new season if they want to win things. The signing of Elliot Anderson looking to be edging closer. How much of a difference will that make to City's midfield, do you think? Well, I'm a Forest fan, and that's where he's come from, so a bit gutted to be losing him, but 116... But you know him well, so you can tell us all about him. Well, it's £116 million, so that's the big thing. You know, he's a terrific player. What he does is he wins the ball back, and Manchester City are so brilliant with the ball, but sometimes, certainly last year, remember they haven't won the Premier League in a couple of seasons, it was getting the ball back that was an issue. He breaks things up, he does the ugly stuff incredibly well, and then he'll give it to... And he can play when he's got it, but he will also win it back, and he's dynamic. He's been great for England. And, yeah, I look forward to seeing how he goes in a Manchester City shirt. But, yeah, I'm hoping that we'll spend the money wisely at Forest. Well, but, yeah, good, very good signing. So that's Manchester City, Enzo Maresca and Elliot Anderson. But coming up in the sport, plenty from day one of Wimbledon.
I could never have dreamed of going to the World Cup, and here it has, it's arrived.
Paul, let's take you back to the start. You get a call from Carlo.
What's going through your head?
That you hope it's going to happen. Like a lot of times in football, you get a call that there's a possibility there that you could be joining a new club, a new team. And there was one period, like a year earlier, you know, is Carlo going to be leaving Real Madrid? Brazil were interested in him. It was a possibility that they could have joined together a little bit earlier. But I suppose the stars aligned at the right time. It was time for Carlo to leave Real Madrid. Brazil were looking for a new head coach. So often what happens in football is about timing. Yeah, it was a great feeling when it actually happened.
What does the role entail? Just give us an outline of what it looks like from your perspective.
A lot of the role is about watching players, so that when it comes to squad selection, that you're picking the players that are in the best form. There's a lot of players that are from Brazil that play in the Premier League. You know, there's over 20.
Well, England are through to the knockout stages of the World Cup. After winning their group, they'll now play Democratic Republic of Congo on Wednesday in the round of 32. Thomas Tuchel's men have made no secret of their desire to go all the way in this tournament. But could the Three Lions actually end 60 years of hurts? Well, I'm pleased to say England superfan Andy Mill joins us now. He is currently in Atlanta. Andy, how are you? How are the group stages for you?
Hi, Sarah-Jane. Yes, in Atlanta. I really enjoyed them, and it's great to get through, wasn't it? So it took a while to break down Panama, but our main players, Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane, look to be on top form. So fingers crossed we'll go all the way this time.
Yeah, should we just have a little dissection of the group stages? Because after that fantastic opening game, 4-2 the score against Croatia, then we had a goalless draw, and then we had to wait a bit, didn't we, against Panama? It feels like England is certainly going to keep us on our toes throughout this tournament.
Yeah, there are a lot of great teams in this World Cup, and the in inverted commas, lesser teams have really caught up. You could see that today. I've just come back from downtown and watching Brazil only just managed to get past Japan. Ghana put up a great performance. They have a really strong, well-organised back line. I thought we were definitely the better team that day, but we came through the group undefeated. So we should be looking positively towards the next match against the Congo, Democratic Republic of the Congo.
What's the mood amongst the England fans like? Obviously, you're in amongst them, in the thick of it. I saw you in the crowd, actually, in the Panama game. I was sitting on my sofa and, oh, there's Andy. Continuing your streak of always appearing on our screens during international games. But talk to me about the mood amongst the England fans as you travel around.
Well, it's very positive. There are quite a lot of England fans have sort of are changing now, because a lot of the fans came out just for the group stage, and then a lot of fans are coming out for the knockout stages. But we can't wait to get going in this. I think everybody is, of high expectations that we can get through this next round. There are concerns at right back. We've got, Tino Livramento unfortunately dropped out at the last minute, and we've had 2 other injuries there. So that's a bit of concern. But midfield and up front, we seem to be clicking. The right men are scoring. Saka and Rashford have came on and started the last game, and I thought looked very good as well. So it's positivity, really.
So England are next playing Democratic Republic of Congo. They finished 3rd in their group. They drew with Portugal, lost to Colombia, and they beat Uzbekistan. What's your prediction for that game? And have you allowed yourself, looking at your World Cup wall chart, as we have been in our house, looked at that route to the final?
Yeah, I looked at the route through that. So I'm committed now. I'm going all the way to the final, and I've booked my flights. So whether England go home or not, I now know that I'm going to be going to Mexico, which would be the next one. I think most of England expect us to beat the Congo, and we would probably play Mexico in Mexico City at the Azteca Stadium, which will be an incredible match, just incredible, and a very tough one as well. It's at altitude. They're used to playing at altitude. They're a good team. On paper, we're a better team, but they have home advantage. So that's the one that most of the fans who are over here now are really, really looking forward to.
Yeah, very much so. Andy, enjoy it. As you say, you're going all the way to the final. We'll follow you. We'll catch up again. Andy Milne there, England super fan. Very much enjoying England's performances so far. More to come, let's hope. Thanks, Andy. Right, let's take a quick look at the weather now.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean All Clear Skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors Sky News weather.
A westerly flow will bring a cooler, fresher week, but heatwave conditions may well return to the southeast after the weekend. Northern Scotland, England and Wales are looking mostly fine this evening, although Northern England can expect some patchy rain. Southern Scotland, Northern Ireland and Ireland, meanwhile, will see widespread locally heavy showers and more prolonged rain in places. Ireland and Northern Ireland staying wet overnight. Scotland and northernmost English counties will see showery, sometimes heavy and persistent rain taking over, but most of England and Wales will be dry. It's going to be quite warm but windy near western coasts. Northern and western parts will see showers or longer spells of rain tomorrow morning, some of them heavy and thundery. Eastern England looking mostly fine, but the southeast will see cloud and some patchy rain moving through. It's going to be a bit warmer but breezy for the south. Northeast and central England will see showery outbreaks later in the day, while the west of Ireland and East Anglia will dry up. The northwest can expect more rain on Wednesday.
All Clear Travel Insurance proudly sponsors Sky News weather.
Well, that's all from the UK tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, so I'll see you then. Up next, it's The World with Barbara Sarah.